and removing myself in 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, I'm Shaheen Nilofer from Cisco Systems, part of the Middle East and Africa channel team. I manage the CX lifecycle practice across. Today's conversation is more about the CX partner transformation. How do we build a successful customer success practice within the CX community? So, a couple of things before I start is what is that we are doing different at Cisco, right? So, we're going through a lot of transformation. We're going through a lot of programs and promotions and so on. So, before we get into the details of things, I want us to all think back and understand what are we busy doing, right? So we are doing the same things we are doing for the last 25 years. Cisco's been around and so on, selling hardware products and services. But a couple of things we need to start doing different is because of the whole software transformation. So we need to start learning new things, right? Pretty much, I like this picture because it shows that this is something new we need to learn on how we drive our new go-to-market model, right? And as we do that, there are a lot of questions with our partners that say, okay, we have built a rebate centric practice across services and software. We have a very siloed approach to life cycle. We need to get CX specialized. We need to drive with business outcomes. We need to upsell a lot of services, and we need to accelerate our growth and profitability. This is quite a few of the questions that go through our partners. So today what we're going to do is unlearn a couple of things, right, on what exactly is our priority, what should we be doing different from what we've been doing across all these years, and try to understand how are we best prepared for the next transformation wave that's hitting us as partners at Cisco, right? So that's pretty much the efforts that we are in today. And why are we doing this? The reason we are doing this is because we are reimagining our customers' business. We are reimagining how they can get to business outcomes faster from the solutions they are purchasing. It's just not about buying a set of kit, the products, services attached to it, and then just telling the customer all the best with that. It's about understanding the customer's business, working along the journey of whether it's implemented correctly, adopting all the solutions and licenses, and ultimately getting to a point of the customer's recurring business with that solutions and ensuring that we are there along the way, along with Cisco partner and customer collaboration, right? Now, in order to do that, we need to first sort of break it down. So you've seen this life cycle practice across or life cycle in various ways. So one of the things we need to start looking at is today, how are we doing business? We are looking at our traditional approach of sales, customer engagements, partners, and of course, how are we, tracking customer satisfaction. So the sales approach we have is pretty much product led sales and ultimately maybe renewals and sales of those services. We have a very opportunistic customer engagement where, okay, if customer comes up with that specific process, then we have those engagements with the customer. Now, partners tend to provide a very reactive approach to that, right? So they whenever RFP is there or whenever there is a customer attached to it, then we go and provide that support to that customer. This pretty much we don't start measuring the churn, we don't measure how satisfied the customer is and so on, so it leads to a lot of revenue leakage. So what we need to change is what we need to transform into a more transformative approach is we need to get into business outcome discussion, right? Every time a product is sold, we need to understand why is this product being positioned with this customer. Is it the surrounding infrastructure correct for that specific customer? And what should be the outcome after 12 months and more to understand if this solution has been utilized by the customer into the next set of expansion opportunities, right? So that's something we need to start looking at. What is the customer engagement? Is it proactive, business outcome focused, rather than the customer saying, this is the refresh I would need, and this is, serial numbers going out of support. What is the thing you can do? and having that solution more, or okay, here, that's great, you've adopted the whole security solution, but I think you definitely need to go the next distance of adopting the next, maybe have a data center to support that, and so on. So that kind of a discussion is more proactive and business outcome focused. And for us partners, we need to provide engagement across the life cycle, as against just purchasing the kit and giving and the implementation and delivery to the customer, and sort of going to them after the renewal, during the renewals time after a year. So it needs to be an ongoing journey from onboard, implement, use, and adopt, and then that pretty much will lead to the overall customer satisfaction, right? So this is in a nutshell where we need to move from a more traditional approach to a more transformative approach as we go across the life cycle. So, having said that, the agenda of my today's presentation is to give you a snapshot of what is the customer success practice, what is the portfolio, what is the digital practice that you need to adopt, and definitely what is the profitability in doing all that. Right, that's something which we need to be really conscious about as we grow across this transformation journey. Now let's look at the customer success practice. So I want us to really focus on this because this is the new kid on the block, and I would definitely say it's quite a different approach to how we do business for both
I
Cisco and
apologize
our.
profusely. Shane, I apologize profusely. I'm so sorry. I made a bit of a mess up there on my side. Could you perhaps repeat from either the beginning of that uh, paragraph or that section? I'm so sorry.
Which paragraph? Sorry.
Sorry. So what you were just talking about now, if you could just backtrack a little bit and then just start again. I'm so sorry about that. That was completely my fault.
Okay. Just a minute. Okay. You will patch it up, yeah, I guess. So, okay. Can I start?
Yes, you can. In just 3 seconds in your head after my countdown in three, two.
Right. So, customer success practice. This is something we need to start looking at because this is something new for all of us at Cisco and for our partners, where we need to adopt, we need to expand, we need to look at the solution after the sales and the deployment has been done, and so on. Right. So, what is this, right? What is the practice that we need to start building now that we have more than 80% of our overall business coming from services and software? We need to focus on recurring. So this is something we need to start looking at very closely. Now, customer success methodology. So it is more of a practice and methodology where we look at, okay, we've now bought the kit, we've looked at the product, software, and services for that customer. How do we take it from landing to adopt to expanding and renewing that specific solution, right? So more often we at Cisco and our partners are very good in actually landing the deal, right? But we need to start looking at how we're going to adopt that solution, how we're going to expand that solution, ultimately get to a renewal point. So for that, we need to look at who are the teams involved, right? What are the activities that need to be done to move from one pit stop to another? What is the expansion opportunities, and what are the renewal activities that we need to do? Right. So these are some of the things we need to start focusing on who does what and how do we do it. And just to double click on that, we need to look and find out what is the best model that fits us. And we, as at Cisco, we have a standard model that will define what are the different stages that you need to build, how do we need to do that, and what are the different capabilities that you need to build across that life cycle. So one of the basic three, or rather six, capabilities that we will need to have in this journey is that we need to start building the CX teams. We need to define a life cycle methodology for driving that customer success. We need to build a handoff process because you definitely saw that you have a sales, adoption, expansion and renewal teams that involves pre-sales, sales, delivery, renewals teams across the board, right? And then you also have need to look at how do you embrace new CX services models as against just a smart net or PSS or solution support. You need to look at how partners can deliver on those services. You need to start looking at having adoption services exercise and invest in a digital practice. So pretty much you can see an end-to-end approach of how you drive an overall services and software business on adoption. So this encompasses it's something called the customer success practice. And from a roles perspective, and this is very important to understand because many of you, as partners, have been asked to drive a CX specialization certification. So, this is very important to understand how we are driving from a customer success portfolio perspective is that we're looking at engaging from a standard stages 1 to 4 where you're driving the actual value of the need with the customer, understanding what the different architecture he needs, what's the infrastructure already available, what are the services and software that he needs to have in that journey, and so on. And then you also have the delivery teams that will implement the solutions, the customer success teams that will adopt the solutions, and ultimately the renewals team that will help renew that solution after a year or 3 years. Now, having said that, we will need to look at what is exactly the handoff process, what are the roles and responsibility of each of these individuals that move across. Because what happens more often than not is we definitely have the sales team that do the overall engagement in times of sales, and then hand over it to the delivery teams. But what is not happening is where the customer success team steps in and says, okay, this is not this needs to be adopted, this needs to be installed, hence the adoption will take place. So it's got more of a back and forth discussion. So a streamlined process needs to be there to make sure that the adoption happens seamlessly. And ultimately, the renewals team also needs to get involved to make sure that the in quarter renewal rate happens on time because that's a major metric that you will be measured on as well. Right. And not going to deep dive down, but you can clearly see that there are roles and responsibilities across each and every pit stop we have, and there are different partner roles to measure this. And this is a pretty much a new conversation we have with our customers. Because customers usually we look at implementing, maybe activating a couple of licenses, but we need to be there for the customers throughout the life cycle journey. And this is an exhaustive activity list that we'll share later on, but then it gives you an idea how do we engage with the customer. Right, and that's a quick snapshot of how a customer success looks like. Now let's look at customer success portfolio, so otherwise known as the overall services portfolio in the past. So the customer success portfolio, again, a major part of the partner model that we are driving at Cisco is that we need to move from a break fix approach, a reactive and a people intensive approach to a very proactive approach involving life cycle, proactive, predictive services with insights and analytics. Customers need more services than just that, okay, my switch has failed or my box is not working, or and this is something we need to raise an RMA, and with that discussion to more of insights based approach that this is the entire, the network, the configuration is sort of, not streamlining accurately, this is what you can do with it, and sort of mitigating those issues prior to then those occurrences actually happening, prior to those crashes actually happening with the customer, right? So this is something what we need to look at from a very proactive approach on those services. And in order to do just that, in order to adapt to the new set of services that we are running, we have three basic groups of services that we formed. One is the success tracks, the business critical services, and solution support services. So success tracks, as you all know, is a combined services of solution and services where we have solution support, partner dashboards, insights, analytics, along with CX and PX cloud, and with accelerator and ATXs. It not only helps the customer move from one use case to another use case and measure progress, but also helps you give that visibility of what are in terms of services that you can support with the customer on, install based management, contracts management, and of course your adoption progress. Business critical services, again, a major portfolio where you can do end to end. analysis and mitigation of network management portfolio, and it is now available to partners as well. And of course, we have our support services in terms of solution support, SmartNet, and PSS. So these are the totally different kind of services that have been packaged, and you can clearly see that the portfolio has moved from just being reactive to being more proactive with more insights and analytics. Now, having said that, we have evolved, and most of you would have attended the trainings on partner lifecycle services, where we are looking at in you know having a consolidated view of success track, BCS, and solution support integrated into one whole umbrella called the partner lifecycle services, which I wouldn't say an evolution of PSS, but more of integrating all those services that are available into a partner led model. That is something, if you're really interested in partner delivery, you should check out and look at how that works and what is the criteria and eligibility for the new partner lifecycle services that was launched in Partner Summit. So, as I said, we are evolving Cisco CX portfolio and partner model and creating, the depth and breadth for Cisco partners, for their customers that have very different needs from the past. So we're looking at accelerating customer success and services across the board. But even the partner opportunities are increasing by the day. We are achieving rewards by reselling, increasing profitability with lifecycle services, and also differentiating your own branded solutions. So imagine the amount of insights and analytics that come across from this data and dashboards, where you can start creating your niche services for your own customers and delivering them with backed up by Cisco services. So that's something what you need to start looking at as well. Now, going to the next piece of digital practice. So you can clearly see that we've looked at a customer success practice, we looked at the Cisco success portfolio. Everything had something called the insights, analytics, dashboards, and so on. So we are no more dependent on just an Excel sheet based approach where customer gives you a list of BOQ and you look at and analyze and add a bunch of hardware and software lines to it, but more of having what is a real time dashboard that gives me the data as to where the customer is actually is in terms of adoption, in terms of services, in terms of infrastructure utilization, right? Those are the things that you need to start looking at, and of course this is a part of the digital practice of a partner model that you have. So, just to give you an example, is how do you drive adoption with a digital practice? So, let's say the customer is stuck in adopt phase or an onboard phase. So, using success tracks, using LCA, using a couple of other dashboards that we have, you can customer will recommend that these are the steps that you need to do in order to move to the next set of the adoption journey. In step two, the customer sees, yes, these are the activities that has been done. The partner supports the customer in doing those activities, and then they move to step three in making sure that few features are utilized fully. And in step four, the partner again looks at what are the steps for the next set of next set of adoption journey. So clearly, you can see that is scalable, repeatable digital practice that helps both the customer and the partner collaborate and go hand in hand in ensuring that the solution goes further and deeper into the customer's premise to make sure that it's fully deployed and utilized by the customer. And in order to do that, we have a lot of tools, and one of the most pioneering tools is called the Lifecycle Advantage. And recently, we have launched the Success Program Insights. And if not already, you should definitely get access to this tool, which is free from Cisco and gives you the partner individual reports of the customers and the architecture you have sold, and to measure what are the different use cases that you have sold and how do they progress across into each of those customer journeys, right? This is something that you really need to look at on a closer basis. And the other piece that we are also looking at is integrating our PX Cloud APIs. PX Cloud is a one stop shop for all the digital assets that a partner would need in terms of customer lists, contract details, IB management, assets, service coverage, and so on, and also give you insights and analytics in a lot of things, including case management, automated fault management, predictive crash checks, and compliance checks. So PX Cloud is going to come now. Right now, PX Cloud will be mostly available through success tracks, but then soon it will be available through for supporting partner lifecycle services. So you get a holistic view of the customer. And in order to get into more details of how you can develop an API practice within your customers, within your organization as partners, is that you can develop commerce API, service API, Cisco support APIs, PX Cloud, and DevNet APIs, right? And including smart accounts and licensing APIs. So Cisco is making the the opportunities open for so that you can integrate the solutions into your own solutions that are working and making sure that they are streamlined and the data is streamlined into your ERP systems as well. So that's pretty much a digital practice that we are opening up, and please make sure that you have the access and you leverage that because that's the next big thing that we are doing and moving away from more just a reactive approach of renewals, adoptions, and growth. Now let's look at a use case. So what are we actually trying to do here, right, in terms of all services and customer success? Let's say the customer is more focused on business growth, right? They want to make more money, save money, and mitigate risk in the infrastructure. This is on the broader level of where the focus of every customer is because of the business they run. Now, what do you need to think about is if I sell this solution, which business lever does this customer offer for the customer? Do I improve the operational efficiency? Do I increase revenue? Do I protect their brand, employee satisfaction, increase time to market, or risk reduction? So we need to start thinking more into lines of businesses as against just selling that solution to the customer and walking away. So this will make more business sense on how we're driving that. Let's take an example of DNA center. For example, if you've landed a DNA center in the standard sales motion, right? So activation of DNAC, you as a customer success manager at the partner completes the success plan with the client focused on the business outcome, define which business outcome is leveraged and so on. It drives the activation and of that specific solution. Customer now starts utilizing the solution, provisions the DNAC, provision security, policy changes, and so on, and submits a business case. And then because the customer started utilizing the DNAC, they just don't want a smart net or some reactive service, but they want a more proactive service, like in terms of success track and so on, to make sure that their DNAC has a robust service to fall back on, and you can start adding on more services to that specific solution. So guess what you've done? You've actually increased operational efficiency, increased time to market, increased revenue for yourself. There's a lot of risk reduction because of the management of infrastructure to the DNA platform, and of course, employee satisfaction due to a lot of security concerns that you have mitigated. So, what we want to do is move away from an infrastructure discussion. Definitely, you need to have that, but we need to have a more outcome-based discussion as we move away from the just a product hardware and software discussion with the customer. And a couple of reasons why you want to move into this practice is you need to understand what is the reason you want to invest in this practice. What is the outcome you will be driving? How do I increase revenue? What is a life cycle practice should I focus on? There's a lot of things you need to understand. How do you move? How do I justify the spend? Because it's a new process, new investment that you need to start doing, and who will be the executive sponsor? And we have a team across Cisco and Comstor to help you do that. So please do reach out to them on how and why or how and whys of the overall CX practice. And just to give you a head start on how to start your life cycle practice, establish how the business case will be funded, what are the resources that you need to start investing in, create some baselines and KPIs, have an executive sponsor, and start monitoring your investments on the CX practice, understand how it works, and sort of replicate that into the next software vendor. So this is more, a repeatable, scalable practice that you need to start developing in order to make sure that the utilization of software is fully done. Now, just to deep dive on the partner profitability of our overall CX practice, because definitely this is where a major portion of our focus is for our partners from Cisco, is that we have looked at the business value of partner-driven lifecycle services increases by the revenue increases by 54%, the average spend of the customer also increases by 98%, and the upsell rate is around 75%. Clearly, because you're driving, the more value you drive with the partner, the customer is actually going to come back to you and say, listen, this is where I need help, and so on. So you're going to really open up doors for the customer in terms of value, and you in terms of increasing the wallet share from the customer. And from a profitability point of view as well, from Cisco programs, we are moving towards more into the future of adoption, lifecycle, partner delivery, and value-added services in terms of practice, portfolio, delivery, and margin drivers. So we need to be conscious that we're not going to be more moving into more transformative rebates against just a transactional rebates for attach and renew. Rather than just selling those services, we need to look at positioning life cycle offers. We need to look at more partner delivery, so to increase that revenue, and moving from just incentive based approach to more insights and analytics into our deals. The reason why we want to do that is today we are looking at, let's say, the Cisco CX or services, and you add on your own partner professional services. But we want to add more and more to that partner delivery model, where you look at more partner delivery models in terms of success tracks, PLS, and so on. You have higher coverage through enterprise agreements, and make sure that end to end it's covered by EAs, and then you sell more value added services. So pretty much your CX portfolio increases with the customer, and so does your value add. So this is the goal of where we want to go with our partners in terms of profitability and of course value add with our customer. Now let's look at the different partner profitability program framework. So if you're looking at different programs across, at least specifically for CX, it is driven in a very siloed approach. You will have somebody looking at VIP, you'll have looking at somebody looking at CSPP, and then you also have the CX support services in terms of life cycle. So these are not something that are totally different and varied. You need to start integrating into a life cycle continuum. So suppose you're selling a total deal, you need to look at how much of CSPP rebates you get from attach, what are the VIP incentives, what are the life cycle incentives I get from positioning or the EA adoption engagements at sell, and then you have onboard, and then you have use, and then renew. So you need to, at every pit stop, not only align in terms of roles and responsibilities, but also engage and align in terms of profitability. So that is where we need to start looking at, from a program perspective, how aligned and how maximized on all the programs we are doing, so ensure that the profitability stays. These are just examples on how we can align in terms of CSPP, right? You all are aware about the whole life cycle of attach, delivery, and renewals. And then this is just a sample from TPV. And of course, the life cycle incentive rebates, where the more you adopt and utilize and activate, the more rebates you're going to get. And of course, you need to be a CX specialized partner for adopt. And then the more you activate from the customer, you're increasing the value of software into that account. So that's something that you need to start leveraging in terms of LCI incentives, and aligning yourself from who does these incentives across the life cycle. So just an example of how you would get the amounts if you sell, let's say, a 200K EA. Suppose today you don't do any life cycle opportunities or incentives, you would get around $6,000. But if you definitely do one, you will get $7,500 for life cycle starter, 15 incentive, and adopt you need around 25. So over a course of 12 months, just for that 200K DNA EA sale, you would get around $54,000 over 12 months. So that's a good return on investment on positioning that EA. So, but the alignment is key. The knowledge is key of how do you incentivize all these customers and so on. Now, in order to do all that, so you would have heard from a lot of your team members on the CX specialization. This is very key for us to move forward in transformation. Please do reach out again to Comstor to understand what are the different areas of focus on customer experience specialization. We will share the slides, and this is something really key for all gold partners that are going through, and the end date is April 7th to make sure that your CX specialized minimum to get to that point. And this is just a roadmap to show you that customer experience specialization takes average 6 to 12 months, and the advanced level takes 12 to 18 months. So if you're in the process of getting yourself certified before the date of April 7th, so please make sure that you are well aware of what are the different identified requirements to make sure that you're done on time. Just a couple of benefits for CX specialization. So you get a lot of benefits in terms of discounts. You're definitely supported by a customer experience specialized partner from Cisco, and there are various other benefits in terms of discounts and back-end rebates for being a CX specialized partner. And one of the key things I'm going to wrap up is our partner profitability calculator is also live, so you can leverage that because you can look at what are the different, since I've discussed a lot of success portfolio, you can look at what are the various portfolio you have, how profitable I can get within that, and so on. Now, with that, you've heard a lot from me in terms of customer success portfolio, customer experience practice, and our digital practice, and of course, our profitability. It is quite a lot of information, and we'll definitely share the slides, but do start the engagement, start the transformation, as this is very key for both partner and Cisco to ensure that we are a software led, we lead in the recurring revenue and software led practice. With that, thank you so much. And I think we do have a quiz right now coming up.
Hi, Shaheen. That was good.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm a bit, I was a bit not fresh like before. A lot of work.
That's fine.
Can you hear me
Sabrina,
okay?
what's
Was it okay?
the duration Shaheen was within? Sabrina, we can't hear you. Maybe you're on mute.
About 31 minutes.
Ah, is it? Okay.
All right. I think we were supposed to be a little under that, but it's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
All
you
right.
can, maybe you see if you can
Should
cut
be
something.
good with the, it should be good with the cuts, the
Yeah.
one cut that
Okay.
we need to make.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Are we
Awesome.
gonna do a minute teaser now?
Yes, we'll do the teaser as well.
Okay, cool. So let me remove that.
Shaheen,
Shane,
I've
are you
pasted
ready?
the text in the chat for you for the teaser.
What is the teaser? Sorry. What am I supposed to do? Sorry.
We'll be recording a short teaser video, which will be used for social media. So I've pasted some text in the chat where you just introduce yourself, who you are from Cisco, and the topic you covered in your session. And then you can just say, join me for the upcoming Comstor and Cisco Expo, where together we'll learn more or, learn more about the topic I'm going to be
Okay.
speaking about.
Yeah, will do. Let me know when.
Okay, I am removing Schnabel. After my countdown, just count 3 seconds in your head. In 3.
I'm Shaheen Nilofer from Cisco Systems. I'm the Partner Development Manager for Middle East and Africa for CX Lifecycle Services. Do you want to know more about the CX partner transformation? Join me at the upcoming Comstor and Cisco Expo where we can together explore more. Looking forward to seeing you there.
That went perfectly.
Yeah.
Snable, are you happy?
Oh yeah, it's okay. That was fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much, Shane, for your time. You have a
Thanks,
lovely day.
Shaheen.
Thanks.
You have a
Thanks so
great
much.
day.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much. Take care, Shaheen. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hi, Sabrina. Sorry, Sabrina, I got a call sometime back when your generator went off.